The baby kept reaching toward the kitchen wall. The Bernese Mountain Dog kept blocking her way. Her parents thought the dog was being territorial. They were wrong about everything. It started on a Sunday. Nomi was 9 months old, and she had recently discovered that the world extended in directions she had not previously explored. She crawled with the focused efficiency of someone on a deadline, pulling herself toward whatever caught her attention, with a determination that left small red marks on her knees and impressed everyone who watched her. She had her mother's curiosity and her father's complete absence of caution. The kitchen vent was in the lower left corner of the wall, near the refrigerator. It was not interesting. It was a beige metal grill, 12 centimeters square, the kind of fixture that disappears into the background of a house and is noticed by no one. Nomi noticed it on a Sunday afternoon and crawled toward it with the decisiveness of someone who has just discovered a purpose. Kodiak stepped in front of it. Kodiak was a 5-year-old Bernese Mountain Dog, 112 pounds of black-brown white fur and easy temperament. He had lived with the family since before Nomi existed. He was the kind of dog who moved slowly through a space and occupied it completely. The kind of dog who made rooms feel smaller and safer at the same time. He had never in 5 years shown any behavior that required explanation. He stepped in front of the vent and sat down. Nomi pulled herself against his side and looked around him. Kodiak did not move. She pushed against his leg. He shifted his weight slightly but did not yield. She made the sound she made when things were not cooperating. He looked down at her with the patient amber eyes of a dog who has decided something and intends to remain decided. Her father, Theo, watched this from the kitchen doorway and thought, possession behavior. He had read about this. The dog staking claim to a location. He moved Kodiak gently, put Nomi in her bouncy chair with a rattle, and thought nothing more about it. By Monday, Kodiak was returning to the vent every hour. He would cross the kitchen and sit in front of it. Not bark, not claw. Simply position himself there and stay, his nose pressed to the grill at intervals, inhaling slowly. When Nomi crawled in that direction, he moved to intercept her before she arrived. When Theo moved him, he waited a few minutes and returned. Nomi's mother, Iris, was a respiratory therapist. She understood behavioral patterns. She understood that a large breed dog showing fixation on a household object around an infant was a pattern that needed to be addressed before it escalated. She called the trainer. The trainer could not come until Thursday. On Tuesday night, Kodiak did not sleep in his usual spot. He lay in the kitchen. Theo found him at 2 a.m, pressed against the base of the wall near the vent, his nose against the grill. He nudged the dog with his foot. Kodiak got up, walked 3 steps, turned, and came back. Theo stood in the dark kitchen for a moment, and then did something he would later say he could not fully explain. He crouched down next to the vent and put his own face close to it. He could not smell anything, but there was something about the quality of the air that came through the grill. A faint, almost imperceptible warmth that should not have been there. A warmth from behind the wall where nothing warm should be running. He called the gas company at 7:30 in the morning. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. The technician who arrived, a man named Desmond Farley, with 18 years in gas infrastructure, ran the diagnostic equipment along the kitchen wall for 11 minutes. Then he stopped. He ran it again. Then he said something to his supervisor on the radio that made both of them move faster. The gas line connector behind the lower kitchen wall, the fitting that connected the supply line to the stove, had developed a microfracture. It was not a rupture. It was not a leak detectable by smell, because the concentration at any given moment was too low for human olfactory perception. But it was a slow, continuous seep of natural gas into the wall cavity and from there, through the vent grill, into the lower air layer of the kitchen. At floor level, where infants breathe, where Nomi spent her afternoons. The siege had been ongoing, Desmond estimated, for approximately 4 to 6 days. A dog's nose can detect natural gas compounds at concentrations far below human perception. Kodiak had smelled it from across the room. He had understood that the source was behind that grill. He had understood, in whatever way animals understand the relationship between a small crawling creature and a hazard at ground level, that Nomi should not be near it. He could not explain this, so he sat in front of it for 4 days and blocked her with his body. Has your dog ever done something that made no sense until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. Desmond shut off the gas supply to the kitchen and replaced the fitting that afternoon. He stood in their kitchen when he was done and said, "Whatever made you call us this morning, I'm glad you did." In an enclosed space with an infant at floor level, this kind of slow accumulation over time leads to outcomes that are difficult to discuss in a family home. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Iris canceled the trainer. She went to where Kodiak was lying in the living room and sat down on the floor beside him. He pressed his white head against her knee and exhaled slowly. She put her hand on his shoulder and stayed there until Nomi woke from her nap. That evening, after the gas was back on and the fitting was replaced and the kitchen had been ventilated for 3 hours, Theo moved Kodiak's bed into the kitchen. He did not ask why he was doing this. He understood something now about the relationship between a dog's certainty and the information that certainty is built from. Kodiak slept near the repaired fitting for a week. Then, satisfied, he moved back to his usual spot. The next story involves a husky who spent 6 days trying to get a family to look at something no one could see, and what the imaging scan revealed about their daughter.